Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is October 23rd, 2020, and this is our weekly video. Each week we do these. We take a look and see what happened over on eBay last week as far as Chinese and Asian art and Japanese art goes. We take a look at CATAWIKI, and we take a look, of course, at the things that were increasingly we're doing more of it because there's so much more stuff on the global member auction pages here on Bidamount because we've added and we go through and we update it so often that there's hundreds and hundreds of things that we find from auctions and on Live Auctioneers and Valuable Bid Square. There's a great bunch of stuff coming up at Bonhams that we're going to talk about today. It's all online, and this online market is really growing. That's very evident, and it seems to be shrinking a bit on eBay. And it came back a bit, but it's still not quite what it was. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. But a couple of things I wanted to mention. One, as I said, there's a number of sales that have gone up that are on the Bonhams site, and they're on the Bonhams page also over at Bidamount. And the catalogs are being processed right now for these sales, and they will be on over here on the free auction catalogs and books section of the Bidamount site by the time this video goes up today and the newsletter is updated. They're being processed right now, and it's an interesting looking pile of things. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that the WANA sale in Milan finished up yesterday. This was a really nice sale. Those of you that looked at it, I got a couple of emails from people that were getting information from them to do some bidding. Because they had particularly nice selection of Kangshi porcelains and very high-grade export porcelains. Some really, really fine examples. And what was striking about them, the condition of a lot of them was just outstanding. It really, really was just outstanding. And we'll take a look at a few of the prices that things brought. One of them was this, of course, that very nice Kangshi period teapot we talked about last week. This really nice one. And it was interesting for me because it was a melon-formed body, and then it had this, simulated straw handle squared over it that you typically see on the flatter lower square teapots. And this did pretty well at the end. We thought the estimate seemed awfully low because it was 700 to 1,200 euros, and it ended up hammering for 1,400 euros. And now you add the buyer's premium, you're up to about $1,800 or so. But not an overpayment really, because when you consider that the square examples of these that are quite common, not terribly common, but commoner, end up typically selling for $1,500 to $2,500 sometimes in that range. In major galleries that get them in the big cities charge upwards of $5,000-6,000 for one of these. So that was a pretty good buy if you know what you're doing at an auction. And then over to this was this very, very nice Yongchen probably plate with the famille rose enamels, and it had, as you can see, the white enameling very faintly done in around the in the cavetto, but the condition of the enameling on this plate was just absolutely outstanding. Condition matters on these things. You notice that the famille rose enamels have no chips or nicks to them. The outer border enamels are all in great, great, great condition. There are no cracks. Lovely piece, and it was big. It was 37 or 8 centimeters in diameter, and it ended up selling for 2,800 euros plus the premium. So you're talking about $3,000 or $4,000. But it was a pristine example, and that has a lot to do with price, especially on enamel decorated pieces. And here is a picture of the this is the next plate, that Kangshi plate with the blue decorated central ground, and then this very nice outer border, well spaced, good looking colors, very, very attractive all the way around. You notice that there's no damage. I don't see anything wrong with this plate at all. Just a nice example, really pretty, nice soft blue. And in the end, it did pretty well. It brought 900 euros, but I think that was a very good buy. And it says it's in good condition with very very good condition with minor wear, and a glaze crackle, some glaze crackle on the center. But as long as it's not a crack, you're in good shape. And it brought 900 euros, which I think was a very good buy, a particularly good buy. All right, and check these sales out. If you're using the global page, you're a subscriber. Get to, as I said, I'm going to say this a few more times, I suspect. One, always leave a bid. All right, because every week we see a few things on there that really went under the radar. And also get yourself familiar with shipping. If you live outside of the United States and you buy from somebody in the U.S. who sells on eBay, you're used to shipping internationally already. And contacting these auction houses in advance to talk to them about shipping small packages, let them know what you're interested in buying. And most of them have shippers who are specific to that size object. So if you're shipping something small, they'll recommend one guy. If you bought a dining table, they'll suggest a good freight forwarder for you. But just get yourself familiar with it, because you miss out on a lot if you don't learn how to navigate these international transactions with auction houses, and they will help you do it. They will absolutely help you do it, okay? Because they want to get paid. They want you to come back for another sale. All right, now on to this. This was the set of 4 very nice Chinese export Kangshi Tinhua Studio paintings. These were really, really lovely little paintings. Brunks had them. Here's a series of them. They were originally sold at one point by SPINKS in London, which many of you know about SPINKS, one of the great galleries in Europe for many, many, many years. They have an amazingly long history, and these are some of the scenes that were in those watercolors. They're really beautiful. They were in good shape. There's with the Spink label on the back, King Street in St. James, London. Beautiful examples. And they sold for $9,000, which is not a terribly big surprise. I thought the estimate seemed awfully reasonable, because these were really charming pictures. And the paintings were done about 1845 in Whampoa. All right, so if you're a China trade buyer, this is the kind of thing you really want to shoot for. And then over here, we've added a whole bunch of things onto the global pages this week. And this is one of the things we've added on the Bonhams page. Like I said at the beginning, they have a series of auctions, and we loaded as much as we could on there. We loaded so many images on here from these different sales, because they've got like 5 sales going all at once around the world. Our server wouldn't accept anymore until it finished processing for a while, because this is just the Bonhams page. And the amount of material that we were able to find to load onto here to get you hooked up is just extraordinary level of stuff. It just goes on and on and on. We're only halfway down this page. There's the rest of it. It's gone. I mean, you can't get to the bottom of it. So if you're using the global pages, be sure to check it out this weekend. We will be updating the global users page probably tomorrow morning. Again, we did it yesterday. We'll do it again tomorrow. We have some things to take off that's sold, and really humming along nicely. And then, of course, you got the Rob Michael sale coming up in a few days. Some great things on there, and so on and so forth. All righty. Now, one of the other things I wanted to mention was one of the things that's coming up. If you're a Japanese buyer, check this out. It's a really, really fine Shibayama period inlaid incense burner with a falcon on the top, probably Meiji period. Absolutely great quality, and it's big. It's almost a foot tall. This is a big boy, and the estimate is very reasonable, 2,000 to 3,500 pounds. This is Lion & Turnbull has this coming up in about a week and a half, 12 days out. If you're a Shibayama buyer, and it's signed. Just an absolutely spectacular example right here. All right, get a condition report on it. But if you're a Japanese metals buyer, you want to take a look at this. This is one of the best ones I've seen in a while. And over to this. This is also, I believe, Lion & Turnbull has this. If you're a transitional porcelain buyer, they have this listed, and I haven't gotten a hold of them, but one of you might want to. They have this listed as a Guangxu period Dewa Chi Dragon teapot, Guangxu period. This form is typically only seen on 17th century pieces, not early 19th century pieces. This form is done in monochromes. They would, late Ming, transitional, somewhere in there. So this might be a mistake. I don't know. They didn't provide any of the pictures, so I can't tell you any more than that. But if you're a Blanc de Chine buyer, you want to check this out. Get some extra pictures, especially of the bottom of this, because that could be one of the great bargains of the next week. The estimate is 600 to 800 pounds, and I think maybe they made a mistake on that, but you want to check it out. Because if it goes through as a Guangxu piece, it isn't going to bring what it's worth if it's Ming or transitional. But that's awfully nice looking piece. And I don't remember seeing one of these ever being done in the Guangzhou period. All right, now over here to the newsletter page. This is all the stuff that we find that we put out that's listed on eBay and CATAWIKI each week. It's free, of course. You just sign up for it right off the menu here at the top of the page at Bidamount. And results were pretty good last week for a lot of the things that went through. One of them was this pretty nice Kangshi period jar. It was nice size, had sort of a later stand with it, and ended up selling for $1,398. This was a seller I haven't seen before. Anderson 326. They've only got a few feedbacks. They're in the United Kingdom, but good-looking pot nonetheless. I don't know who he is. Let's see here. Free UK delivery and all that stuff. That was pretty generous of him. And it's about, how tall is it? It's about 9 inches tall. Nice sized jar. Sold for $1,398. Good looking pot. And then over here to this really nice Bangkok Thai market black ground bowl fitted with a bronze or probably bronze or heavy copper rim and foot rim on the bottom. They did this sometime. They added them to the bases to prevent them from chipping and getting banged around because they cherish these bowls. And this was a pretty nice one. It was good size, 6 or 7 inches in diameter. Had the usual wear to the interior, and it even had a crack in it. And but this is a good old one. And you remember a few weeks ago, one of these that was slightly, probably slightly later, ended up selling for about $300 or something. Well, this one brought over $1,000. All right, that's how much they can range in price. So if you can pick one up, as I said before, for under $400 or $500, and you like these Thai market porcelains, just leave a bid. Leave a bid. All right, now over here to this Hang Wing. This was an auctioneer up in Canada had this. It's very nice Wang Hing, not Hang Wing. Wang Hing incenser bowl and they say it was on a Zetan stand. I'm not sure about that because people often misdescribe Zetan as being Zetan when it's actually just dark stained woods. So be careful when people say Zetan. But a fabulous piece of Chinese silver, just a really, really lovely piece. And it got a lot of attention because he's heavily collected. And it ended up selling for $4,930, but it was in great condition. And condition on silver is crucial because you don't want to have to send it out to a silversmith to get a dent fixed or a handle put back on or some other blemish mended. All right, but that was a nice piece. And then over here on this, they had this listed as Late Republic. I think it's probably more likely PROC, slightly later. Oh, here comes the fire department. They go by all the time. Hold on. There they go. Maybe they're going to lunch. I hope they are. At any rate, this very nice bowl. They often list these as Republic, and generally speaking, they're nearly always PROC. It doesn't make any difference. They're beautifully decorated. These were really fine eggshell porcelains. This is when they made most of them for the export market. The way the faces are decorated and so forth makes me think it's more likely a little bit later than Republic by maybe 5 or 10 years. Any rate, it sold for $528, which is just about right on the money for these days. It's funny though, because 20 years ago you could sometimes get a lot more because some of the buyers overseas and buyers in America thought the market was correct on them, that they were Lung, and they sometimes would bring 2,000 or 3,000. And since then, everybody has realized that they're all from the basically the 1950s. All right, and then over here to this is a pair of Republican platters, nicely done, early Republic period, very attractive. These are at the time when they actually started to pre-drill them for draining because they decided that was a good idea. Sometimes they just had one big hole. These are slightly more developed with 2 holes, nice even orange peel through the bottom. Here's another shot of it. They did these archaistic decorated porcelains in the 18th and early 19th century as well. It was a popular pattern, very elegant, and they often see it on big vases, especially slab constructed square vases. And these did fine. They brought $4,050, but wouldn't they look great with a pair of plants on them? God, elegant. And is the size on them, they were 11 inches in diameter, which is good size, almost a foot wide. So you could put some handsome plants in that and put them in your window for the winter. All right, because winter's coming, everyone. Winter's coming. And over here to this Kangshi gilt decorated bowl. This was a really pretty bowl. We featured it on the newsletter page and had it again in last week because it sort of overlapped 2 weekends. But this was a good looking bowl. It was 8 or 9 inches in diameter, as I recall. And it ended up selling for $1,326. Which is fine. I think that was a very nice buy, a reasonable buy. Gilt over Cobalt decorated Kangshi bowls are pretty desirable, and this one looked to be in good shape. And the landscape, the figural scenes, and so forth were rather nicely done. A little bit dirty, and as you can see, it has the typical rim fritting up along the edge of the bowl that was always so problematic to Kangshi pieces. And one of the ways, just going ahead, if you're looking at a piece and you're wondering if it's Kangshi or not, if that rim is thick and is absolutely perfect, you want to look a little more carefully at the bowl very often, especially bowls and cups, because the fritting was on them so often, if not most of the time. So if they're missing it, it's either a really fine example or it may be a little bit later, but done in the Kangshi manner. All right, so keep that in mind as you're looking around. And then over to this was our friends over at Shangri-La had this very nice Chinese plate for the Japanese market with that classic, this is a very classic landscape or scene that you see on these plates. You have the willow trees on the shore, a boat, and then a mountain with the moon in the background. This was a very, very popular pattern and very, very collectible. And this one was in perfect condition and ended up, so, well, it's got a little bit of rim fitting, but that's normal. Ended up selling for $308. This was the Shangri-La guys. They sell on eBay under the name Ceramics and Collectibles. And then over to this. I put this in the newsletter last week just because I liked it and it was real. And it's actually from India, but India. I love stuff from India. And this was a really nice sort of damascene metal worked box with wooden frames. They sometimes call them Indo-Persian wares, but beautiful, beautiful metal work. The Indian metalworkers were really quite superb, and this is just something that they made that someone would have bought, either an expat Brit living over there or something as a table box. It was about 8 or 9, 10 inches long, but just a great, cool example and real. It was a real nice 19th century thing. He said he hedged a little, said maybe 20th. I don't think so. That to me looks like a mid 19th century box. It sold for $61. That was a good buy. It was a seller in Belgium had this, Rob's 268. That was a good buy because I liked the wear. I love the wear and the old surface on the wood, and then this very nice sort of very settled but very elegant pattern, not dissimilar from what you see on a lot of Indo and Indo-Persian artwork on carpets and on paintings and so forth, covers of books. This is a very popular sort of style of painting, and this is all silver damascene, but just really, really nice piece. And then over here to this, the pin case. I love these. This was a seller in England that had these. I love these little fussy things. This is a Chinese export one made of bone, probably made around 1830 to 1850, but it was a pin case that a woman would have to keep her needles in. Nicely done. Here's a good detail of it. Done very much, obviously, the same way they did very fine carved sandalwood boxes and ivories. And they did the same style of cooking on bone, cutting on bone. But it's harder to cut bone as fine as this, as opposed to ivory. Ivory is very friendly to the carver, especially Indian ivory, because it tends to be soft, and it tends to carve rather nicely. This stuff is a bit stiff and more brittly, and you can have more problems. And it did pretty well. It sold for $667, which doesn't really surprise me, because it's just a nice thing, great thing to keep on a table to look at. And then over onto this, the 18th century Chinese export Garniture Jar. It was missing its lid. It had some issues to it and all that, but it was done in a very desirable pattern. And the enamels, it's funny because they had damage to the top, but the body and the decoration all look to be in pretty good shape. Usually, if one's gone, the other one is. And here you have one of the sort of the famous scene of the nursing man, an elderly man being nursed by a young mother, which is something that was a cultural thing to help keep the elderly healthy and so forth. And it's quite unusual to see it on export porcelain, so that was interesting. And I think it helped the price, $635. All right, and this was from a seller in New York. had that. And then moseying on over to this. This is another nifty little thing that was on there. This little tiny, this was about 1 3/4 inches. This garden barrel form, silver and enamel decorated, like little patch box or snuff box or something. But just a great little silver box. And these beautiful, beautiful enamels all the way around it in silver. And then the metal is black. And there's this shot of the interior of it. Really fine quality silver. This was a nice little object. I think somebody could build a great collection just using small objects, and have some fun with it. Just like, nothing over 6 inches in size. Anyway, this one did well. It brought $660 because it was just charming. The thing is just plain charming. And then heading over here to this is this closes on Sunday. Is this very nice Kangshi Amari plate that's over on CATAWIKI. And by the way, some of you, I hope you noticed, CATAWIKI has been listening a little bit, and they have redesigned their website. They've changed their logo, they've changed the layouts, they've changed how the pages present, and it's a heck of a lot more attractive. Here is the landing page, for example, now. And if you remember what the old landing page looked like, it looked like Craigslist from about 1995. So this is a nice improvement, and they've redone their logo, which was nice. Now I'm still asking them, by the way, those of you that are in countries where CATAWIKI doesn't ship to, I asked them actually 3 times in the last 2 weeks for an answer on when they're going to allow buyers in Australia and Canada and a bunch of other countries to be able to buy off this website. And nobody will answer it. I don't know why. I would suggest all of you, if you want to buy on CATAWIKI, start spamming them with emails saying, why are you excluding me? Because I think it's horribly unfair, and I think it's kind of, and I can't get a good reason why. That's the thing. Maybe they hate maple syrup and prison colonies. I don't know. That was a joke, so don't email me that you're angry. But Canada and Australia seem to be, for some reason, unmoved. You can ship to the U.S., but they won't do it to Canada. Makes no sense. Makes none at all. All right, and then over here, this ends tomorrow. This is another one of those nice Wanley cracked dishes. I show these pieces often because I think they're wonderful. They're old. They're pretty easy to recognize, and they made enough of them that you can build a collection of them. It's very interesting. And this thing's up to 450 euros. It'll probably double that toward the end or more. It does have a... the reserve price has been met, so you're all set, folks. At 400 euros, why bother putting on an estimate at that low? A reserve that low. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's estimated at 1,500 to 2,000 euros, but it has met its estimate at 450. Go figure. All right. Anyway, off it goes. And there's other things coming up. Check the, as I said at the beginning, check the catalog section over the weekend to see the bottom sales, or go to the global member pages. You can get to them there a little bit quicker, and scroll down through the page, have some fun. There's some good things in there. And the estimates, as we saw last week in some of these online sales, you can buy at these sales. There's some good deals to be had, like the copper red 18th century vase that we shared. Those are the kind of things you want to look for. All right, so check them out and see what you can come up with. All right. If you enjoy the videos, as they say, like, share, and subscribe. If you come each week and you haven't subscribed yet, you probably might find it more convenient, because when we put up a new video, if you click the notification bell, you'll be notified by YouTube that we've just posted another video, and you won't miss it. All right, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. All right, have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. We got some other things we're going to be doing and sharing with everyone. All right, so long. Bye-bye.